thing going. Good morning. You all take a seat. I want to welcome everybody to the Indian River County State Legislative Delegation for the 2026 legislative session. If you would at this time, please make sure your phones are turned off or in silent mode. With that, we'll ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have you please remain standing for the invocation. Wilford Hart is going to lead us in invocation this morning.
Lord, we thank you for another day. We know you're able to do all things but fail. Father God, we have the senator and the representative here today to give us an update of what's going on at the state level. But Father God, I was always told that politics is local. And since these are two homegrown, Father God, I already know that they're about our best interests. And so they're bringing every dollar that they can to our schools, to our community, wherever they can get these dollars, Father God, let it come to our community. And Father God, just continue to protect them and guide them and lead them in your name is my prayer. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
My agenda says at this time we're going to do the roll call, but since I can see that both of us are here, I'm going to announce that a quorum is present. We're here. Okay. Also, just before we get started here, I want to recognize, and I'm not going to do it by name because I'm going to miss somebody looking in this audience, but we have a lot of elected officials here. We're thankful they're here. We welcome you here today. Appreciate your attendance and your participation in this process. And I think that it's fair to say that even after this process is over today, that our doors are always open and welcome for your input and comment. All right, we're going to start this morning with the first phase here, governmental platforms. The first up is Indian River County, John Tatanich. I know I missed your name probably, but.
Oh, that's good, sir. You get it better than I do at times.
Please try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or so we
Yes,
can
sir.
move on. We have a big agenda. Thank you.
I'll work on 5 minutes, sir. Good morning, Senator Grall, Representative Brackett. I want to thank you for being here today. For the record, John Tatanich, County Administrator for Indian River County. I do want to recognize our chair, Joe Flesher. We also have Commissioner Moss, Commissioner Ehrman, Commissioner Lohr, and I think Commissioner Adams is in here as well somewhere. So I just want to recognize them, as well as we have our Deputy County Attorney, Susan Prado, Kathy Copeland, of whom I know you are very familiar, and then also working with us with our group is Kim Sugar and Alex Kernan are here. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today to briefly outline some issues important to our county, to the Board of County Commissioners. First, I want to thank you for your support throughout the years, and especially this past year and the year before. We appreciate both of you that take the time to listen to us, take our calls, and when necessary, advocate on behalf of Indian River County, and especially when get that extra push to get things moving forward, such as County Road 512. You were both instrumental, and we really appreciate you being there for us. It should come no surprise that the county continues to rank Indian River Lagoon and beach renourishment high on our priority list. We ask for your diligent support to fund those programs and support efforts to execute projects that move the needle toward lagoon restoration and those projects that provide beach and dune protection and restoration. To that end, in November, we will begin Sector 5 restoration due to Hurricanes Ian and Nicole. That project's going to place about 153,000 cubic yards of beach-compatible sand and 100,000 native dune plants. You may have also heard that we've experienced a record green turtle nesting numbers this season, of which we're really excited about. And I'm going to talk briefly about home rule with all sincerity and respect. I remember a colleague of mine would always say, please do no harm. So what we're going to ask is your support for the protection of home rule is critical, and we ask that you protect Indian River from unfunded mandate and unreasonable preemptions. Representative Brackett, we are aware of House Bill 105 on local government enforcement action, and we offer our full support. We believe that's reasonable, and so we will strive to work with you and help you accomplish that. And we also appreciate your assistance as you've tried to help us bring some clarity to this whole issue of common plan development related to the construction generic permits that we've been stifled and our community's been stifled by as we're trying to process those. In terms of policy issues, we bring it up, it's getting closer, the septic to sewer 2030 deadline. If I look at that today, I mean, we are in partnership with City of Sebastian and the CRA to do a project there. We have several septic to sewer projects underway. 2030 deadline, there's 28,000 tanks. According to our utilities, with all the projects that we have right now, we're gonna get about 1,000 connections done, to new connections to the system where it doesn't exist right now, to this by 2030. So we're very mindful that it's a very expensive and daunting task, could be $500 million, $1 billion between public and private funding. And so we are just asking for you to keep that on your radar. Senate Bill 180, we understand the intent of legislation, but we also have year-based comprehensive plan amendments up there right now, and we're seeing some comments back from the Florida Commerce as it relates to they're just unilaterally just saying no and saying that they could potentially, be more adverse or whatever the case might be. So we think, obviously, we have a statutorily responsibility to adopt those year-based comprehensive plan amendments, and we just think it should be fairly done and that they need to do that and provide the reasons why, because I think it would save the taxpayers a lot of money rather than having unnecessary DOA hearings. Finally, a request for a local bill for inmate medical costs, specifically off-site medical costs. I know that's on the agenda later. We certainly appreciate your support on this. What we're trying to do is manage these costs and prevent the taxpayers paying unnecessarily. We see some of the experiences that Martin and St. Lucie County, we recently are inheriting this from the sheriff's office, and we want to try to get ahead of it. And what we're asking for is what the Department of Corrections already has, so we're just asking for that same protection so we don't subject our taxpayers to unnecessary expenses. In terms of appropriations, I would just remind the septic to sewer, we have 2 projects that we're working on and I'll leave it at that, we can talk further. And then just please remember our Fellsmere Community Resource Center, and I want to thank you very much and appreciate your support.
Thank you. Thank you for that. With that, we have Florida Atlantic University, Ryan Britton. Okay. We're going to move on. We'll come back and give them another shot at the very end. School District of Indian River County, Dr. Moore.
I'm going to use this. I don't have to look at myself on the screen. Good morning. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your ongoing support. On behalf of my board, Terry Barenborg is our chair. She's literally having a knee replaced right now, otherwise she would be here. Our vice chair, Peggy Jones, is in the back. Dave Dyer is here. I know Jackie said she was coming. And our entire platform is a platform regarding innovation. And as a school system, we have done absolutely tremendous work. 2 weeks ago, Flagler superintendent was here, Citrus superintendent was here. Last week, Highland superintendent was here, and today we are hosting Martin County and Sarasota County. They're all coming to see how we're doing this work. They're coming to see the innovation projects that we have in place. And this agenda asks for additional support to provide maximum flexibility for us to continue to innovate, to create options and truly compete not only with charter schools, because they're in the same boat as us, but with private schools. The level of flexibility that is out there now, that is funded through public dollars, we just want to have the same options. Flexibility around core curriculum, flexibility around seat time. It is hard to compete when innovative choice and programs have significantly more flexibility. But prior to discussing that, I want to talk about Schools of Hope. Monday before last, our board had a workshop and we discussed the impacts of Schools of Hope. And it's not the defunding of public education, it is the destruction of public education. It is providing people who are not local to come into our schools and take our space. And we as a community, our taxpayer dollars will fund it. This school system will have to pay for the deputy, the counselor, the nurse, the water, the electricity on our dime, and they will receive the funding, plus an additional $4,000. Schools of Hope is going to allow outside organizations to come in. Don't get me wrong, there might be a place for it, but in Indian River County, we are filled with hope. We do not have persistently low-performing schools. Heck, we don't even have C schools. We have 3 Bs, the remaining are A. So to say that we're going to come in and provide support for a persistently low-performing school, it's not in Indian River County. Opportunity Zone, which is west of 95. The only school in the Opportunity Zone here is Fellsmere, a long-standing A school that is a staple of that particular community. Our district, or the board, has charged me to look at innovation and how we're maximizing and using space. We have incredibly innovative ideas. We want to use some of our facilities for co-ops. We want to use some of our facilities for drop-in courses for homeschool families. The micro-schooling, they need space. We're paralyzed to make that movement at the fear of someone will come in and bully into our building and we will have to pay the bill. So we are requesting a deep review of how Schools of Hope is being translated into action. From a legislative standpoint, I think there's work that needs to be done. It is a tough one. The priorities that we have in place are solely around innovation. When I say flexibility, we are a district of full choice. We embrace choice. We just want the opportunity to compete. The one initiative that's in there that's a little bit different is to provide us the opportunity to run VPK. The quicker that our school system can have access to our children, the higher quality support that we can provide. We're doing amazing things with partnerships around being able to read by 3rd grade. I mean, they're making a documentary about the collective work our community is doing. We are number 2 in the state in 3rd grade proficiency. And if we had them even earlier and had the opportunities, had that influence, we think we can even do a better job. Thank you.
Thank you. City of Sebastian. Brian Benton, City Manager.
Honorable Chair Brackett, Senator Grall, thank you this morning for allowing us the opportunity to speak. On behalf of the City of Sebastian, thank you for your service and commitment to the city and Indian River County as a whole. We highly depend on your leadership in Tallahassee as you advocate for our city and county. The issues before you in this upcoming session will be complex, and the choices you make will have lasting impacts, which is why we stand ready to support you and be a resource when needed to continue to ensure that Sebastian is an amazing place to live, work, and play. So with that, I'll cover a few items that are of importance to our city council, and I want to recognize we got Council Member Dodd is here today, and I don't see any of the other ones here, but just want to thank them for their support. First item for us is obviously property taxes. Looking at it, no one wants to pay property taxes. We all realize that. But I think, working with us on the local level and obviously up in Tallahassee with legislation and looking at property tax and being innovative, creative, looking at other funding mechanisms that we do have that could potentially currently, or we can only use for certain resources, allowing us to expand those uses would be a good replacement on anything that happens with property taxes. So we welcome the opportunity to assist you all throughout the session to discuss how proposals will affect us here in Sebastian. SB 180, the city requests that this legislative delegation seriously consider supporting amendments to SB 180 to address the unintended consequences on local governments that have arisen from this bill. We support many areas of the emergency management portion of the bill. However, the areas of concern are with the potential to modify the comprehensive plan and land development code, thus restricting local government's ability to plan responsibly for growth, flooding, and disaster resilience. Septic to sewer, this is a hot topic item. I know the county administrator just mentioned there are about 28,000 in total county. We are home to over 10,000 of those in Sebastian. We have a good majority of our city that is on septic tank. And so we support any, House Bill 1379, kind of clarifying that a little bit better on how that's going to be put into place when we get to the 2030 deadline. And also support from continuing to fund through DEP grant opportunities that the city is currently applying for. And with that, one item that's come up on, we were awarded a $3.6 million FDEP grant this year. Thank you all for your support on that. And that will assist our property owners with connection to sewer. However, one thing that we've realized in trying to control these costs for our property owners is that the DEP grant will not pay for impact fees. So that is a few $1,000s up to I think $3,000–4,000 cost to the homeowners or property owners that we feel as though could potentially be funded through those DEP grants. So we'd request some assistance in looking at that as well. The lagoon is very important to Sebastian. We continue to support legislation that provides a recurring source of funding for local government programs and projects that protect water resources, improves water quality and quantity, mitigates pollution and stormwater runoff. Affordable housing, the city of Sebastian supports legislation that provides funding for Florida's affordable housing programs that are targeted to meet the needs of the workforce housing and the workforce community within Sebastian and Indian River County. And then last item to touch on is just sovereign immunity. We know that that's coming up again this legislative session. We just request that we have some consideration on that and preserving reasonable caps for municipal governments as we go into that. And in closing, in regards to appropriations, last year we heard the legislature and we did apply for many grants throughout the state. We were awarded over $5 million in state funding through grant opportunities. We will continue to apply for grants. We will communicate that through your offices, and we would appreciate any support from you all on these grant opportunities. One major one that we have already applied for, in addition to last year's septic to sewer FDEP grant, is we have applied for another FDEP grant that would allow us to assist homeowners that do not have access to sewer to convert their septic tanks to the new nutrient reduction tanks. As I said, we've got over 10,000 in the community, and that's going to be a major item for us because there is no way to get sewer access to those by 2030. So they will have failed septic tanks and they will have to convert to the new one, ranging the cost of $22,000 to $30,000 depending on the unit that's installed. So thank you all. We appreciate your support. We appreciate everything you all are doing for us in Tallahassee. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have City of Vero Beach, Mayor John Coutinho.
Good morning. I'd like to thank delegations for being here. We have maintained a long-standing relationship. Appreciate your support from last year and the allocations for Hummiston Park and also for our police department CAD system. As we approach this year, we'll take a slightly different approach as we look to ask your assistance regarding the tourist tax. The City of Vero Beach requests that Section 125.0194 of the Florida statute be amended to require local tourist development councils and the corresponding county governing boards to accept and consider applications for grants filed by local governments. As you know, because you both reside here in Indian River County, we are precluded from doing that. And seeing that 50% of the tourist tax dollars, at least, come right from the City of Vero Beach, we consider that not to be an equitable situation. So we would like to have that rectified, as we have failed to have the county consider rectifying it at their level. So hopefully we can have that done in Tallahassee or begin an effort on that. Second, SB 180. Our plan of objective is to ensure that local governments aren't unduly deprived of the local planning authority. I think the unintended consequences of SB 180, where it may have begun with an intent that was was going to be helpful to communities, didn't turn out that way. I think the modifications to it, while it was in the legislative process, became a bill that was not going to be conducive for local government and local rule. And it makes it very difficult from our standpoint to maintain the quality of life that we have here in Vero Beach from standpoint of our modifying and implementing our comprehensive plan and all the ancillary issues that go along with your comprehensive plan, such as zoning and enforcing of code and so on and so forth. So we believe efforts to substantially modify SB 180 as championed by the Florida League of Cities, I think is a good approach for that matter. The other one is property taxes, and I know Representative Brackett is deep in the weeds on this one and has been involved in it heavily. But just to emphasize, 35% of our city revenue comes from property taxes, AKA known as the millage rate. And without a plan from the legislature, how they're going to replace this 35%, I think it's going to put an undue burden on cities and municipalities across the state on how do you replace this money, and especially for municipalities which are small and may not be in a growth pattern. This is going to be a substantial burden on how we administer, again, local government at local level, and it's something that I think we need Tallahassee to be aware of. And please have a plan in place before we bring this to the public. Also, you helped us with Hummerston Park last year, and we deeply, sincerely appreciate it. However, like everything else, costs have escalated, I think, beyond anyone's imagination. And although we have a total community support on this, and a number of community of individuals have supported us and both donated in kind and so on and so forth, we are over the budget, and we would like to discuss with the delegation continued support on that from an appropriation standpoint, and whether or not we can get additional monies to help us with the Hummerston Boardwalk. As you know, it's an attraction that has become a heritage attraction here in Vero Beach, and something that the community supports wholeheartedly, and we would like to request some support on that. And last but not least is the city of Vero Beach hosts numerous events. The parade at Christmas time, the lighting of the Christmas tree, events at Jackie Robinson, the Blue Angels, and the police department is tasked with providing security for these large events, and we're looking for an appropriation for the new modular vehicle barrier systems, which will help the police maintain control. And as we've seen in the news as we go across our country, vehicles will continue to being used as instruments against public. So thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. At this point in time, we're going to go back up to Florida Atlantic University. Camilla Meichler?
Good morning.
Thank
Very
you.
close.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay, Chair Brackett. If there's anything I'm used to, it's pronouncing my last name. Camilla Michalczek, great to be here this morning. Great to see you, Chair, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share a little bit of good news from Florida Atlantic University. I'm clearly not Ryan Britton. He's a little bit taller than I am. He was unable to make it here today, but I'm here on behalf of both Ryan and President Adam Hasner, as well as our Board of Trustees. And it's an honor to be here and share a little bit of good news about Florida Atlantic University. You've been with us on this trajectory for the past 10 years, and so we've seen a number of success and accolades in the past decade, but particularly in the last 6 months since President Hasner took the realm, we've been sort of at faster than furious, so to speak. So today I'm here to share some good news, as well as to also share a little bit about our legislative priorities for the 2026 session. Earlier this year, Florida Atlantic was designated an R1 very high research university. This puts us in a distinctive category of elite universities that are producing research and development that impacts our state from an economic development and innovation perspective. In addition, we became one of only 21 universities to have both this R1 designation as well as the Opportunity University designation. And we're ranked on that based on both our student access as well as our post-graduation earnings for our students. Really exciting to be one of 21 universities in the country to have both of those designations. And in August, Washington Monthly ranked us number 39 for best colleges for best bang for your buck. They actually called us one of the greatest success stories in American higher education. We didn't write that line, but we're really proud to repeat it over and over again because we believe it encompasses what we're doing on all 6 of our campuses. Additionally, we were ranked number 30 in social mobility. This really speaks to our ability to help students break barriers and their student achievement as well as their earnings once they graduate. These accolades are not, we also broke, for the first time in the history of Florida Atlantic, we're a top 100 university. So we're a top 100 public university according to U.S. News and World Report. And so the two of you have seen us in Tallahassee wearing our FAU 100 pins. Now we're truly 100 and we're really excited to have achieved that goal. But these accolades are not the reason for our success. We don't chase rankings. They do, however, validate the work that we've been doing. And thanks to your support and the legislature's support, the work that we will continue to do. This is really only the beginning, and so I'd like to tell you a little bit about where we're headed. Our first legislative priority for the 2026 session is a continuation from last year. It's our multidisciplinary health professions clinical training and research facility. This building, which will be located on the Boca Raton campus, but will serve students in healthcare professions across all of our campuses, particularly in the colleges of medicine, nursing, and social work, will help us to expand our space so that we can continue to expand enrollment in these areas of critical need for the state. Last year, we received $10 million, which allowed us to begin our planning and development, and we're requesting a total of an $80 million investment from the state. So we'll be asking the state for $70 million in 2026. The idea is the sooner we can build the building, the less it will cost the state and our donors in the long run. We are committed to raising the remainder of the building cost and philanthropic donations and have begun those campaigns internally as well. This request also aligns with our recruitment and retention strategy, which is our second legislative priority. Our second priority really is focused on access, outcomes, and earnings. As you know, we're located in a very expensive area of the state. In fact, CNBC recently ranked Boca Raton specifically as the second most expensive college town in America. And that really translates to our entire region, which does serve all the way up here to Indian River. And so to ensure that we can continue to recruit, retain at the highest level of faculty in areas of focus, these areas are AI, biomedicine, neuroscience, marine science, and engineering. We're requesting an investment from the state to allow us to continue to build out our faculty as well as our research infrastructure to support our R1 status. Finally, our third priority is our Center for Educational Strategy and Innovation at our lab schools. Hopefully you've heard of our Henderson lab schools and our FAU High School. We are one of the most highly rated lab school districts in the country, as well as in the state of Florida. And last year, the state appropriated $2 million for us to create a center that would allow us to replicate this model across the state. Finally, we're seeking funding for our Office of Ocean Economy. This office was provided to us by the state, and we're seeking appropriations to continue. Thank you for being with us on this journey, and we really appreciate your support. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. Terry Ann Paulo.
Actually, I'm Tom
Thomas.
Lanahan, the Executive Director for the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. Good morning to you. We are established by Florida statutes, governed by an interlocal agreement among our 4 constituent counties. So that's Indian River, Martin, St. Lucie, and Palm Beach counties. Our focus areas are intergovernmental relations, urban design, economic development, transportation policy, emergency management, first responder, hazardous materials training, and the environment. We have a couple of resolutions that are in your packages there. They concern affordable housing, coordinated statewide water resource investment, restoring the connections between the north end of the South Florida Water Management District and the south end of the St. Johns River Water Management District, and the US 27 Freight Rail Bypass Program. Those are resolutions adopted by our council. There's no specific legislation associated with those, but as those issues come up during the course of the year, we hope you'll take a look at those resolutions and keep those in mind as you encounter different things. I also want to say we are a resource to you all. If you have questions in any of these topics along the way during the course of the session, please give us a call. Or even before or after the session, whenever you'd like to. So I just want to let you know about that, and happy to answer any questions, and thank you for your time this morning. And I probably have a couple minutes left, so I'll yield that back to the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to, not on the agenda, but we've had a card come in from a couple of other local government entities. We're going to go to the Fellsmere Water District. Greg Nelson.
Good morning, Senator Grall and Representative Brackett. My name is Greg Nelson. I'm the president of the Fellsmere Water Control District. The Fellsmere Water Control District is comprised of over 31,000 acres. The majority of the land on the east side of the district is ranchettes or city development, and all of the land on what we call the west side of the district is actively farmed in agricultural operations, citrus, cattle, vegetables. As a result, the level of services needed by the landowners on the east side of the district is much greater than the level of services needed for the agricultural operations. Additionally, the east side of the district, 100% of that water drains to the Fellsmere Main Canal and out to the Sebastian River. On the west side of the district, the agricultural operations pump their water to what is called Headwaters Lake, so 80% of that water is not going through the Fellsmere Main Canal. So we operate differently, and the needs of the landowners are distinctly different. So our request, the vote of the board of supervisors of the district, is to seek legislation to split this district in the east side and the west side so that the landowners can have their commensurate level of service that they desire in each district. That's it. Open to any questions, but thank you for your consideration and thank you for your service to the county.
Thank you. With that, we also have the City of Fellsmere, Armando Martinez, or Council Warren Dill. I just want to welcome Armando, the new city manager of Fellsmere, to the area, and if we can be of any service, let us know.
Good morning. My name is Warren Dill. I'm the city attorney for the city of Fellsmere. I'm here with Mr. Martinez, our new city manager, as Mr. Brackett has stated, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this morning on such short notice. The city just learned about this opportunity, or this request rather, from the Fellsmere Water Control District to split their district into two parts last Tuesday. We received an email from Mark Mathis, who is the district manager, I believe, for the district. And he's requested to be on our agenda for November 6th to discuss it further. But as you might imagine, we were quite surprised to hear about this. We've learned since that this has probably been going on for quite some time, but the parents seem to be the last to know what happens. And the reason I say parent is because the entire district, all, what was it, she said, 31,000 acres lies within the city limits of Fellsmere. I noted a few comments about water flowing east and water flowing west by Mr. Nelson. I'm sure he's aware of this, although he was not around in 1919 when the district was created, but the water's been flowing east and flowing west since 1919. So this should be nothing new for the district to understand and manage. My real reason for being here this morning is to ask you to pause any further action on this until you've had a thorough review of the positives and negatives of splitting the district, not just from the residents, which are very important, of course, within the district, but from the city of Fellsmere and from Indian River County. The county has a serious stake in this as well. This is going to have a major influence on the North County area of Indian River County. It's not an isolated location. It's a huge tract of land, and it's going to have a significant impact on the city of Fellsmere. We are particularly concerned about the financial ability of the eastern half of the district, of the proposed new district, to handle the financial affairs required by the district. I'm sure you're aware of this, but a year ago there was a major rainfall that flooded, just flooded Fellsmere, flooded it. And that was obviously under the management of the district. No offense to them, it was a very unusual storm, it was a very severe storm. But the point is, we're very concerned about a newly created district having the resources, having the expertise to manage the volume of water that potentially will flow from a major event in that area. So I ask you, with all due respect, if you would not only pause this, but agree that you would not create a separate district without approval from Indian River County and the city of Fellsmere because of the significant importance of the district to these two jurisdictional bodies. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that ends the part of governmental platforms. With that, we're going to go into local bills. We have one local bill, which I will present to the delegation. This bill involves Indian River County. At the request of Indian River County, which the county administrator spoke about earlier. This bill standardizes how Indian River County reimburses medical and transport providers for care for jail inmates, keeping costs predictable and preventing overbilling with no direct contract, when no direct contract exists. Basically, this is a piece of legislation on a local level that's been going on around the state of Florida. I know Martin County and St. Lucie County passed it in the last couple of years. From that standpoint, it just regulates and monitors the cost of inmates as it relates to Medicare and Medicaid payments from that standpoint.
I've been supportive of this type of legislation since I started in the House, as it was an issue in St. Lucie County. And the real issue being that without a standardized rate, what St. Lucie County was paying for a hospital stay or a visit could be sometimes, exponentially greater than Medicare rates. And so I just think that it makes sense that it's consistent with what our Department of Corrections is responsible for, and it doesn't allow people to game the system as much in terms of whether or not someone is in county custody or whether or not they're released to the state. There seem to be some games around that were played in different areas, not necessarily here, but I'm supportive of the idea and look forward to supporting it through the process.
Thank you, and I thank you for your comment that you made about Department of Corrections already has this in place for their inmates statewide, so from that standpoint, so we're just kind of aligning with them at that point. I guess we should need a motion. There's only two of us, but.
I move that we approve the local bill as presented by the chair.
Okay, and I'll second that, and without objection, we'll we will move forward with it. Thank you. All right, business and nonprofit. Mental Health Association, Dr. Phil Cromer.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Phil Cromer. Most people know me as Dr. Phil, the other Dr. Phil. I'm here to talk a little bit about our appropriations request and your support. The program is for our walk-in counseling and screening program. This program's been just so essential for the community as there's been a rise in the severity and acuity of psychological conditions and symptoms. So what that means is people are coming in more frequently and they're staying longer too for more severe issues. So this program, basically, someone can come into our mental health facility Monday through Friday. There's no appointment needed, no barrier, and they can be seen at any time. So that helps access for the community. A lot of folks don't have the ability to go see their doctor or ongoing therapist. This is a free program. They're able to come in, be seen right away. And it helps in a number of reasons because first and foremost, it helps them to get the help they need. It reduces their symptoms, but it avoids a Baker Act. So if you can avoid Baker Acts to the hospital, it saves approximately $3,000 per day, and that's on average of a 3-day stay in the hospital, in the behavioral health center. So in the past few years, well, actually in just 1 year, it saves well over $2 million. And in the last few years, I think we're up to in excess of saving $6 million. So there's a real return on investment here that works. Also, we're a training site, so we train psychiatric nurse practitioners. We have bachelor students come in, master's students, as well as registered interns. So we don't have enough providers in our community right now. However, by doing this, having the screening program and being a training program, we're able to train them up, help them get their license, and then if we can keep them, we keep them, but if not, typically they stay within the community. So this is a program that is a one of a kind. There's no other like it, and it's really working because we've seen that Baker Acts have actually reduced. So thank you for your continuing support. I appreciate it, and we will see you in Tallahassee. Thank you.
Thank you. Area Agency on Aging, Palm Beaches, and the Treasure Coast, Dwight Chanette. Welcome.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Dwight Chanette, and I serve as the CEO for the Area Agency on Aging of Palm Beach and the Treasure Coast. We're one of 11 designated area agencies on aging across Florida and under contract with the Florida Department of Elder Affairs. Our service area includes Palm Beach, Martin, St. Lucie, Indian River, and Okeechobee counties. We provide seniors, adults with disabilities, caregivers, and families with information referral and access to certain state and federal programs, including long-term care under Medicaid. Our focus is on cost-effective home and community-based services that help frail seniors remain safely in their homes, avoiding premature or unnecessary institutional care. The Department of Elder Affairs has submitted a legislative budget request that includes some funding increases in critical programs. And while the need is even greater than this funding will provide, I respectfully encourage your support of these priorities. First is an increase in funding for community care for the elderly of $4 million. In our service area, there's approximately 4,800 seniors that are currently on a wait list. This funding would allow us to serve the most frail and at-risk individuals, helping them to remain at home and avoid costly nursing home care. The second is an increase in funding for home care for the elderly. Our wait list of $3.5 million. Our wait list in the service area includes approximately 1,800 seniors in this program. This program supports family caregivers who provide direct daily care to seniors living at home and often prevents institutionalization. The third area is an increase in funding for the Alzheimer's Disease Initiative of $3 million. We have over 1,200 individuals who are on the wait list for ADI services within our service area. These funds provide critical relief to caregivers, allowing them to continue to support loved ones while maintaining their own health and well-being. All of our services are competitively procured and delivered by local nonprofits or government institutions. In Indian River County, these programs are administered by the Senior Resource Association. I'd just like to thank you for your continued support of Florida seniors. Your support of these budget priorities will make a meaningful difference within the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have John Coutinho, Alzheimer's Association. Welcome back.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, here we are again, huh? So thank you for this opportunity to address you. I've been doing this since 2018. And as we have discussed in the past, Florida is in the epicenter of the health crisis regarding Alzheimer's disease. It is the second highest number of individuals living with Alzheimer's in the country. Over 580,000 Floridians are living with Alzheimer's disease, including 6,600 here in Indian River County. And when you know the ratio of two caregivers to one patient, now you know that it's greater than the entire population of Vero Beach is somehow affected by Alzheimer's disease that we know of. In the past, you have demonstrated leadership and compassion in supporting dementia care and awareness. Florida really leads the effort here on a national basis. But with a rapidly aging population, we must continue to build on the momentum. And raising awareness is essential. Families need to recognize early signs and know where to seek for medical guidance. That's why the Alzheimer's Association is advocating for $1.5 million to fund the comprehensive state public awareness campaign using multimedia platforms to reach every corner of our state. We now have FDA-approved blood tests that will help with diagnosis and treatments and slow disease progression by reducing amyloid plaque to the brain. These advances represent real hope, but Florida remains one of the few states without a public awareness campaign to help people access them. The time is really to act now. Next, we must do more for caregivers. And across Florida, 870,000 caregivers are supporting loved ones with dementia, and 2/3 of them are managing their own chronic health conditions. They are under tremendous stress, physically, emotionally, and of course, financially. Programs like dementia care, navigation, and respite services are lifelines. They provide crucial support to caregivers while helping those living with Alzheimer's remain safely at home and close to family members. We're asking the legislature to codify the Florida Alzheimer's Center of Excellence. This program is to increase funding for Alzheimer's Disease Initiative. Right now, more than 17,000 individuals are on a waiting list for ADI respite services. Eliminating the wait list is essential for these caregivers. Finally, I would like to highlight the continued success of the Alzheimer's Brain Bus, a mobile outreach program that reaches all 67 counties every year, offering education on brain health, early detection, and caregiver resources. Legislative support has made this outreach possible, and continued funding ensures we reach families wherever they are in Florida. And thank you. On behalf, you have the packets, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Indian River Neighborhood Association, Mike Johansson.
Good morning. Thank you for listening. I'm not going to, it's in my packet. If you haven't got it, I'm sure you will. But home rule, the preemption clause, when that's used, let me tell you how it looks to us over here, is that you're litigating with with a machete instead of a scalpel. So I'm sure there's some backup behind why the preemption clause is used when you preempt local height or density or zoning restrictions with the litigation. But the request is that you look carefully before you do that, because it has long-lasting effects on comp plans and zoning and development and all those kinds of things that were here. Robbie, you know that from when you were here. So the subject I am going to talk about is water. And environmentally, we had a meeting with the environmental groups, and I drew the short straw. So I get to present the subject of poop. The biosolids application to land was a problem here in Indian River County. We all know it. And the county said finally that we will not apply raw biosolids to the land because Blue Cypress was turning into an algae bloom, a huge one, which then we got to share with our friends up north because it was the basis and the start for the St. Johns River. We're seeing more and more of that come as we in Florida, which is the third most populous state in the nation, and getting 1,000 people a day on average moving into the state, we're, as a byproduct of all that, generating more and more biosolids. And the question is kind of, what do we do with it? And it's not a popular subject, and it's not a popular answer. You can take it to the landfill, but as an example, Indian River landfill will not accept any landfill from any other county except Indian River because they have to plan their landfill. It takes science to do that. It ends up being an economic question. Can you drive it from Miami to Putnam County cheaper than you can pay somebody in a landfill to dump it there? And the problem is not a county-by-county problem because when you put raw biosolids on land, it poisons the water system around it, as we saw from Blue Cypress. So unfortunately, the poisoning in the water does not restrain itself to the county that did it. So we have a responsibility to our neighbors. Some litigation that made it illegal to apply the raw biosolids across the state might be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the Treasure Coast Regional League of Cities, Ed Dodd from Sebastian, our local guy.
Senator Grall, Representative Brackett, it's my pleasure to address you on behalf of the Treasure Coast Regional League of Cities, which is composed of the cities in Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, and Okeechobee counties. The Florida League is currently establishing their legislative priorities, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'll tell you, it includes sovereign immunity, changes to live local to try to apply some additional controls for the cities and municipalities on that, septic to sewer costs, and appropriated dollars to help that take place, and then affordable housing. But what I'd like to focus on is the current conversations about property taxes and ad valorem taxes that's going on at the state level. As you know, the 8 bills that have been filed this week from the Speaker's memo include everything from completely doing away with ad valorem taxes to some changes that impact homestead exemptions and other issues. And it's interesting when we think about the ad valorem tax structure, we have to admit that there are municipalities who don't spend their money wisely. And the question is changing the tax structure the way to address that, or is that something that should be done through the normal legislative, normal elective process? Maybe it's time for the residents of local municipalities to stand up to their leaders that aren't spending money wisely and try to do something about that. But it's for Sebastian's perspective, we don't generate enough revenue in our ad valorem tax to cover our local police department. We have to cover about 30% of that local police department out of other revenue streams. And as far as references to the cities in the state, 71% of the cities in the state have a millage rate that's below their 2020 rate. 63% of the cities have not increased their millage rate in the last 5 years. And 53% of the cities have decreased their millage rate either at to rollback or below rollback in the last 5 years. And a reduction in ad valorem tax, as proposed by some of those bills, is going to force cities to reimagine how they do their business. And their business, of course, is public safety, infrastructure, and quality of life issues to their citizens, parks and so forth. And if we lose, for example, in Sebastian, 40% of our revenue, then we have to reimagine how we can do that stuff. We have two options. One is we quit paving streets, we quit repairing swales, we quit doing this type of stuff, which is not imaginable from a city collected person, and it'll send me to the local mental health group if I have to do that. And if the voters approve these things, which I believe they will if it gets on the ballot, I mean, it's going to be very difficult in 26 for voters to not want to take taxes away from people and provide themselves a nice raise. Then part of that reimagining that we're going to have to do is how we generate revenue. Just real quick before my time runs out. So we're going to need your help in that. This is a systemic issue. If you reduce property taxes, as you were one speaker talked earlier, there has to be some way to replace that revenue. Part of the way to do that is to remove the restrictions on how municipalities can use the revenue they receive. Discretionary sales tax, for example, has a lot of limitations on it. The state has rules that make it so that we can't use money that we receive at the discretion of the city in order to provide the issues that they need. So we need to get those state mandates removed. We need to, special taxing districts need to be reevaluated. We can't use a special taxing district to do maintenance, but we can to do brand new streets. Maintaining streets in most cities is more important than building new ones because we can get developers to do that as they grow. So we're going to ask for your help in the 27 session if the 26 election goes the wrong way on ad valorem taxes. And I hope you'll be willing to assist us in that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, next up we have Clean Water Coalition. Judy Workup.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for letting me speak. Judy Orcutt, Clean Water Coalition. So recently, there's been a great deal of financial resources put into the Everglades restoration, and it was badly needed, but Indian River Lagoon also needs funding. For the Indian River Lagoon Protection Program, we'd like to see the full $100 million pledged by Governor DeSantis in annual appropriations this year and in the years ahead. We also need continued funding for conservation land programs like Florida Forever and the Rural and Family Lands Program. The strategic purchase of lands can save ecosystems, endangered species, and farmland for future generations. Land purchases may also better position the state for resiliency and climate adaptation. More funding is needed for projects to improve water quality. Stormwater projects that hold back water for filtering and aquifer recharge, muck removal projects, habitat restoration projects like seagrass planting, shoreline restoration with oysters and other filter feeders. Also, our infrastructure is not keeping up with our growth or with the state mandates like septic to sewer connections. Septic systems have been determined to be the primary pollution source for the Indian River Lagoon. We need to get the infrastructure in place, not just for new development, but to retrofit the older areas. Many of those are in close proximity to the lagoon. These projects are expensive and need a huge increase in funding to meet the need. In addition, if you expect to have a local workforce and affordable housing in the future, it's important to find a way to assist with the private side of septic to sewer funding too. Over 50% of the residents in Vero Beach earn less than the United Way's ALICE measure, individuals and families that are asset limited, income challenged, and employed. In order to sustain our current quality of life, we must also solve our water supply challenge, particularly east of I-95. Our aquifers are being rapidly diminished. Wetlands need to be preserved to provide surface water recharge to the aquifers. Reuse water infrastructure needs to be greatly expanded. We need to stop using our precious potable water to grow landscapes. Biosolids management, thank you, Mike, for the intro. We need legislation and enforcement to stop the land application of biosolids throughout Florida. It makes no sense to clean up one waterway only to allow that same pollutant to be spread in another. Finally, after years of educating people, Cedron Technologies is building a Varcor biosolids plant in Indiantown. This plant will take this terrible pollutant, biosolids, and turn it into separate useful products. Distilled water, energy, liquid nitrogen that can be transported where it's needed, and phosphate ash that can be shipped out of Florida because we don't need it. Florida needs 8 more of those plants to solve our problem statewide. The state needs to lead on solving this problem by helping to fund this construction. And lastly, we need enforcement. FWC needs more people to do more enforcement. We need them to start being able to identify derelict vessels before they turn over in the lagoon and are more expensive to pull out. We need them to monitor discharge of their septics into the lagoon and no discharge zones, and to monitor irresponsible development such as mangrove cutting and draining swamp land and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you.
I tried to talk fast.
Communities Connected for Kids, Karen Toole.
Good morning, Representative Brackett and Senator Grall. Thank you for having me today. I'm here representing Communities Connected for Kids and our local community-based care partners. I'd like to start by celebrating our ESEP program, which was just funded for its 2nd year. Your support on that is really, really important. That is our St. Lucie County program that is fully prevention-based. In its 1st year, we served 147 children and successfully diverted 133 of them from out-of-home care, which is a 90% success rate, saving approximately $1.56 million in avoided child welfare costs. Every child that we can keep out of foster care saves money. Since July of this year, we've served 29 families and 66 children, keeping 92% safely at home. With a peer support specialist on staff bringing lived experience, ESEP creates individualized family plans that help families feel seen, understood, and supported. This program shows how prevention-based focused services can make a real difference on children and families here in the 19th Judicial Circuit. I'd just like to highlight 3 priorities that we have this session affecting child welfare here in our circuit. Number 1 is our liability insurance. Liability insurance access for CBCs have gone through the roof. Some CBCs are seeing 200 to 400% increases. Our children, our community here in the 19th Circuit, our premiums have tripled since 2021, going from $98,000 to $259,000 a year. In some areas, there is only one insurer even willing to provide coverage. Without stable insurance, CBCs and their subcontractors risk financial instability and service interruptions. Florida currently has no statute protecting these organizations. There is a bill, however, from Senator Chamberlain and Representative McLean that is modeled after Texas legislation to provide limited liability protections for CBCs acting in good faith. This change has no direct cost to the state, but helps maintain stable services for over 50,000 children and families statewide. Our second legislative priority is a public records exemption for frontline staff. Supervisors, case managers, and family support staff face safety risks when identifying information is publicly accessible. DCF investigators are granted these protections, but we who work with the families long-term, sometimes up to 6 and 7 years, are not protected. Our frontline staff have expressed this repeatedly during the years in surveys and things, that they feel unsafe because their personal information is available on the internet. Just here in the Indian River Service Center, we have a wall of pictures that before you open the back door, you look at. Thank you so much. Keeping a social worker under 3 minutes is pretty tough. But thank you so much for your advocacy for our community.
Thank you. Treasure Coast Homeless Services Council.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to come before you today, and thank you for your service. I agree, it's hard for a social worker to talk for 3 minutes or less. Treasure Coast Homeless Services Council is the lead agency for 3 counties. We receive about $1 million a year from the state to operate the continuum of care and operate programs and services in all 3 counties. We're asking for our continued funding, and when House Bill 1365 happened with making homelessness illegal in the state, you provided $10 million in non-recurring fund for unsheltered homeless. We would like to see that $10 million reinstated during this next fiscal year. It allowed us an opportunity to make some significant impacts in solving homelessness on the Treasure Coast. I brought Samantha with me today to talk to you a little bit about her experience and how she works in our organization.
Good morning, and it even is harder for 2 social workers to keep it under 3 minutes, but I'll keep it brief. My name is Samantha O'Badge, and I'm the Housing Navigator for Treasure Coast Homeless Services Council, which basically means that I have the task of finding the units for our clients, as well as coming up with housing solutions for our clients. Briefly, I want to share with you that I have what we call lived experience, which means that I myself have been homeless, which led me to work for our organization. At the time, I experienced that I was working as a hospice social worker, and because of some internal politics and staff changes, our referral sources began to be less and our patient load began to be less. So that meant my paycheck was less. And I ended up having to leave my rental unit because I couldn't pay my rent anymore. In reality, many people believe that the face of homelessness is the guy in the street with the cardboard box or the cardboard sign and the tattered clothing, but in truth, homelessness has many, many faces. It could be single men and women, single moms and dads, and people just trying to make it on their own, and even entire families who are just trying to keep up with the rising cost of living, especially in the economy we have today. It's been reported that 67% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That's 4% higher than last year. And in our communities, that is no different. But we at Treasure Coast have had the distinct honor of housing over the last year 290 people. That's 290 people who were formerly on the street or living on somebody's couch, who are now housed. And that has made a huge impact on their lives. And it's because of the funds that we're advocating for today. There's a lot more that I have to say, but quickly, I want to say in my 2 years at Treasure Coast Homeless Services, I have seen grown men cry when they're housed. I've seen little kids dance around in joy because they have a bedroom to call their own, and women get a new lease on life, because they now have a real lease. Every dollar counts, and I just want to share with you the favorite part of our job is being able to say to someone who was formerly housed, welcome home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Farm Workers Association of Florida, Renee Gomez. Bike Walk, Indian River County, Al Lim.
Good morning. I'm Hal Lambert, and I'm with Bike Walk Indian River County. And I'm here today to talk about the need for hands-free legislation that would make it illegal to drive while holding a cell phone or mobile device. As you know, there was a hands-free bill in 2024 that was unanimously approved in the House, but died in the Senate. In 2025, thanks to the sponsorship and hard work by Senator Grall, it was approved in the Senate, but died in the House. It is tragic and sad that despite overwhelming bipartisan support for hands-free bills in 2024 and 25, opposition has kept this life-saving bill from becoming law by just a few committee chairmen. We need to keep trying. Nearly 3,500 people are killed on the roads of Florida every year. That's nearly 10 people every day, and at least 3 of these deaths are attributed to distracted driving. Studies show that texting while driving is 6 times more dangerous than drunk driving and increases the risk of crashing by 23 times. As you can imagine, this legislation is critically important to cyclists and pedestrians because Florida drivers kill more pedestrians and people riding bikes than any other state. Bike lanes and sidewalks will not protect you from a distracted driver. Florida's current texting law is weak and ineffective at reducing distracted driving. It still allows holding your phone for talking and navigation and is not enforced because officers cannot tell how people are using their phone without a search warrant to find out. The problem is out of control and getting worse, especially among younger drivers. Hands-free legislation would make it simple. If you hold your phone in your hands while driving, you run the risk of getting a ticket. Florida needs to join 34 other states in America that have enacted hands-free legislation. Each state that has done so has seen crashes drop by 10 to 20%. Some opponents have complained that the law would restrict personal freedoms. Okay, should we then eliminate the requirement to wear seat belts, abolish speed limits, and allow drinking while driving? Of course not. People could still use their phones using voice command features without taking their eyes off the road and hands off the wheel. Polls show that 80 to 90% of voters support hands-free legislation, and I appreciate the support from the vast majority of our state senators and representatives on this issue. I'm also proud to say that within the past year, every elected official in Indian River County voted for resolutions supporting hands-free legislation. Sheriff Flowers is also a supporter. We need to have another hands-free bill, if not this year, then next year under the new administration. It's a simple and enforceable way to reduce crashes, injuries, and deaths caused by drivers who are distracted by their phones instead of driving responsibly on Florida's roads. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the Democratic Executive Committee, Mark Jaffe and Bill Evans.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out today. My name is Mark Jaffe of District 4. I am speaking on behalf of the Indian River County Democratic Executive Committee, representing roughly 1/3 of the voters here in Indian River County. We are here to focus on what actually matters to the families of Indian River County: affordability, safety, education, and the environment. I have 5 topics starting with gerrymandering. Let's call it what it is: a political do-over on the taxpayer's dime. It will cost millions that should be used to lower housing, insurance, or utility costs. Florida maps are what they are. Why redraw them just to move the goalposts? If we really want to redraw lines, how about around flood zones and school districts, not around your registrations? Let's fix communities at risk, not maps. Public safety. House Bill 133 will lower the firearm purchase age from 21 to 18. After the Parkland massacre, Republicans and Democrats came together to raise it like an act of God. A rare act of courage and common sense. Now we're talking about undoing that progress. You can't even rent a car until you are 25, but we're considering letting high school seniors buy assault rifles? If Enterprise won't hand you the keys to a Corolla, maybe you shouldn't be able to get your hands on an AR-15. Local control and housing. SB 180, which we've heard about already today, took zoning power away from local governments, handed it to Tallahassee and to private developers. That's not smaller government, that's bigger boots on smaller necks. Let Indian River make its own choices about growth. Let's keep affordable housing in the conversation. Families can't live on promises and press releases. We don't need more luxury condos. We need teachers, firefighters, nurses who can afford to live and work here. 4, the Indian River Lagoon, as we already heard about today, isn't red or blue, it's turning green for all the wrong reasons. We need real investment in stormwater systems, septic to sewer conversions, and coastal resilience. Ignoring it doesn't save money, it just raises insurance rates. You can't campaign on paradise and let it flood. Last, 5. In 2025, there are still kids doing homework in parking lots just to get access to Wi-Fi. That is not innovation. That is neglect. Broadband is infrastructure, period. And our teachers, Dr. Moore and his team, deserve a round of applause from everybody. What they have done is remarkable, and they deserve paychecks that match their purpose. If we can give developers tax breaks, we can give teachers a raise. In closing, at the end of the day, our message is simple. Affordability with resilience. We are not here to pick fights. We are here to build bridges, both literally and politically. Let's make sure the next generation inherits a county that's affordable, safe, educated, and above water. Because whether you're red, blue, or somewhere in between, we all want homes we can afford, water we can drink, and a future our kids can count on. Thank you.
Thank you. Youth Sailing Foundation, Indian River County. Stu Keeler. Let's be a good neighbor to the Indian River Lagoon. Catherine Booth.
Good morning. I'm going to take a point of privilege and reverse the order of my speeches. And thank you for this legislative delegation. I represent Anglicans for Life at Christ Church, Vero Beach, and Sidewalk Advocates for Life. America was founded on principles of governance in the Christian Bible. The purpose of government, according to Holy Scripture, is to protect its citizens' lives and their property. Protection of citizens begins with protection of preborn lives. It is an undeniable biological fact that preborn human children are human because their DNA is from human parents. To be human means to be a person, whether in the womb or outside of it. Human identity begins with the understanding that God is creator of all human life. The Holy Scripture further declares that our identity is an undeniable fact of male or female when observing the reproductive system. The reproductive system of the female is made not for her, but for the reproduced human person, the preborn child in the womb. That human person, because he or she is small and helpless in the womb, is vulnerable to exploitation and death by the hand of the abortionist or his or her own mother, often with the consent of his or her father, whose self-interest is to escape any financial obligation for the needs of the helpless child. Abortion, in which the preborn human person is treated as property of the parents to dispose of at will, is modern-day slavery. It is incumbent, therefore, for the government to say, stop. The parents' rights to bodily autonomy and choice end when a new human life begins, because it is the duty of the government to protect the lives of all persons, born and unborn, so that society and the nation can continue into the future. Children are the future of America. A young man pointed out to me, and I confirm the census data, that there are 1 million less females than males per generation, except seniors, proving gendercide of females by abortion is happening in America. A financial analyst told me this month that there are not enough working-age people in America to resurrect the manufacturing sector. America is aborting itself out of existence. Even with the 6-week abortion ban, Florida continues to terminate 1 of 4 preborn legal citizens annually. What does that have to do with you? Will you speak up to save lives of preborn children as martyred Charlie Kirk did? Florida Statute Chapter 775.21, 5E, already defines an unborn child as human at any stage of development. Exceptions keep women enslaved to rape, incest, and sex trafficking. Abortion is never the answer to medical conditions of the mother or child. I am asking you to abolish the intentional killing of preborn children by abortion without exception and grant personhood to these children because they are human persons and legal citizens of Florida whose lives are already protected by Statute 775 and Florida's Constitution. And I'm going to segue right into my other speech. I represent a non-denominational, pro-life, environmental creation care organization. Let's be a good neighbor to the lagoon. America was founded on principles of governance in the Christian Bible. The purpose of government is to protect its citizens' lives and their property. Just a moment ago, I pleaded with you to abolish the intentional killing of preborn Florida citizens by abortion and grant them personhood because they are human persons and legal citizens of Florida whose lives are already protected by the language of Statute 775 and Florida's Constitution. Because human life is sacred from conception, children saved from abortion deserve to have the best quality of life after they are born, and that requires clean air and clean water. What does that have to do with you? Please repeal harmful provisions of SB 180, which undermines local government's ability to plan for growth by blocking local control, hindering community input, and has led to lawsuits over development. Because SB 180 allows development in areas local citizens want reserved for agriculture and natural area protection. Please amend Statute 373.185, which since 1991 has required taxpayer funding for the completely failed Florida-friendly landscaping program through the Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences at the University of Florida. Florida's water has become more polluted under this taxpayer-funded program. That is because it encourages non-native plants and landscapes, which irresponsibly imports one new pest plant or insect into Florida per month and requires copious amounts of fertilizer and unsustainable irrigation, drawing down 80% of what is our drinking water from the aquifer. The solution to pollution of Florida's water is native plant landscaping, which avoids fertilizer, herbicides, pesticides, and irrigation altogether, and not pruning our native trees so they can organically perform their God-created free function of leaves capturing rainfall, keeping it on site, directing it to the aquifer instead of running off landscapes as polluted stormwater into the lagoon. About half of the harmful chemicals incompletely removed from the aquifer by home filtration of drinking water are landscape chemicals. We taxpayers have spent billions of dollars to remove harmful pollution from the lagoon while simultaneously adding 3 million more pounds of fertilizer from landscapes to the lagoon annually, meaning water quality of the lagoon and aquifer will never recover unless landscape chemical pollution is stopped. Thank you for mandating sewer conversions, but to protect water quality, property owners must also be mandated to landscape with native plants and unpruned trees. Thank you so much for your time and for what you do for us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Paul Crespi.
I'm Paul Crespi. I'm a 3-year resident of Vero Beach. I voted in the last 2 elections. And I want to address President DeSantis' initiative to eliminate the property tax. I think it's long overdue. Americans are greatly overtaxed right now and have been for years. Presently, the average American, the average guy in the street spends 34% of his money in taxes, in direct taxes. That's just direct taxes. With indirect taxes, that brings up to about 50%. The average taxpayer is working all day Monday, all day Tuesday, and half of Wednesday to pay government. And that's way out of line. I'm a Christian. The Bible does not tax property. It taxes, the Bible, God wants a tithe. A tithe is 10%. That means the average guy is supposed to keep 90% of his income. I never kept 90% of my income. And everybody I know, everybody I work with, they never kept 90% of their income. The taxing and spending is way over line. I realize all these people here are looking for more money. But sorry, folks, it ain't there. And something has to change. And I think the governor's initiative to abolish the property tax is the right idea. It's the way to go. You go ahead and something happens in your family, your spouse gets sick or your child gets sick, and you can't pay the property tax, you know what's going to happen. The state will come in and take your property away from you. And the Bible doesn't allow that. No king, no bank, no mortgage company has a right to take your property. It's a violation of the 8th commandment, thou shalt not steal. Families are important to God. They need land, they need a place to live in, and the government has no right to take it away from you. It's a God-given right. It's called an inheritance in the Bible. So I want to encourage you guys, I want to encourage Representative Brackett and Senator Grall to support this initiative to eliminate the property tax. Thank you.
Thank you.
To eliminate the property tax.
Melissa Burdick. Welcome.
Good morning. It's Kells Burdick. It's a hyphen, sorry. So good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to address the delegation. Recent land acquisitions by foreign LLCs, Florida solar farm expansion, and increased data centers in abutting counties have raised concerns about the impact of large-scale development on our infrastructure and community resources in Indian River County. As new communities are planned, it is critical to consider who will bear the cost and how the local resources will be affected. Senate Bill 180, passed in 2025, limits how Florida local governments set land use protections, including outside disaster zones. The most beneficial aspect of the SB 180 for Florida is its streamlined approach to post-hurricane recovery. However, the negative effects of SB 180 are already evident, with lawsuits filed in over 25 local governments, including Palm Beach, Manatee, and Orange counties. These suits argue that the bill undermines local control and home rule authority. Foreign LLCs, real estate developers endorse and benefit from SB 180. The bill limits the authority of local governments to enact more stringent land use regulations, thereby potentially reducing expenses and expediting the completion of construction projects. Florida's rising energy demands from data centers and housing have prompted regulators to review grid policies. Under SB 180, FB&L benefits from the accelerated solar expansion, increased land access, and increased local leverage over local municipalities. However, it remains unclear whether this energy source meets its promised energy output to warrant such expansion. SB 180 does not require assessment of whether existing water supplies can support further development. Infrastructure should be verified before rezoning to avoid shortages or issues like California brownouts and water scarcity, particularly in places like Central Florida. All politics are local. If not, then your roles and local roles are nothing more than a dog and pony show. Well, a few individuals win blue ribbons for facilitating foreign LLCs, real estate developers, and solar farms, while the citizens of Indian River County become merely NPCs or non-performing characters in our own backyard. We have previously opposed federal overreach. Similarly, it is important not to relinquish local powers to state governance. I'm sure you can appreciate the ask and the value of home rule authority. Further, conservation and affordable housing programs would not have such a great need if infrastructure planning was optimized, not incorporated. So I urge the delegation to advocate for the revision or partial repeal of SB 180 in the 2026 legislative session. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Peggy Jones.
Good morning. I'm going to talk a little bit about public schools and accountability. My name is Peggy Jones. I'm a school board vice chair, but I wish the record to reflect that I am speaking for myself, not representing the school board. Thank you, Senator Grall, for our meeting a couple months ago and the time you took to discuss some of my concerns, and Representative Brackett for attending the forum and always returning my calls or texts. I sincerely appreciate both of you. As I said in my letter to both of you, I will always start with this statement. I am a public school advocate. It has been a privilege to be elected twice to the Indian River County School Board. Our 3 children went through our wonderful public school system and are doing well. We all know we are in a different world in public education today with vouchers. Obviously, some systems are not working well with this program, not getting money to parents on time, and still some students missing from FTE counts this year who took money and came back to public schools. But I'm here for another reason, accountability. Vouchers are taking taxpayer money without accountability tied to them. Our public schools are accountable with every state statute dealing with education. Some of those areas are the following: certification, testing, standards, safety, ESOL graduation requirements, to name just a few. There must be equal or similar expectations for students receiving vouchers. I believe transparency is a must. Every taxpayer can see how their public schools are doing, and we've been doing well. 38th to 5th in 5 years, and A school district 3 years in a row. We continue to improve because of the leadership in the classroom, schools, and district. We are also fortunate to have a nationally recognized superintendent, Dr. David K. Moore. we are accountable. And I am very much for choice, yet we continue to hear erroneous statements made about vouchers. Unless you're paying $20,000 in property taxes, it's just not your money. About 42% of your taxes in this county go to local and state education, or about $8,400 for the person paying $20,000. It's about the amount a voucher would be. Again, you have to pay $20,000 to equalize, generate the voucher payment for one child. Our median property tax is about $2,000. Specifically, my taxes are $3,600, $1,500 to state and local education, but if I homeschooled my 3 children, I would receive about $25,000. And again, I'm paying $1,500. And we all know tuition for private schools in the state has risen, some significantly since the voucher system. So I think you're still excluding some low-income families. Solution on accountability, ensure that private schools and homeschools would take voucher money, use similar outcome measures at public schools so that academic outcomes can be fairly compared and the return on investment or lack thereof can be understood. As taxpayers, we should know at the very least if they are on math and reading grade level. Dr. Morris said many times that these are opportunities for us to grow in these times, and I agree, and so does the board. Time to transform education, and I agree we will stay positive. Yet I say at the very least, put us on the same level playing field and give us the flexibility as he stated earlier. Please know that as a district, we will continue to move forward as we look to the future, and we will be proactive as we will be under great leadership. And you will see very soon what needs to be done. And take it from someone who has lived here for 45 years, this will not be easy. Thank you.
Thank you. Indian River County Republican Executive Committee.
I apologize. I didn't know there were 2 of us under that heading, so I was supposed to be in surgery today. I want to take this opportunity to say that just as it is your responsibility to express the will of your constituents, it is mine as the chairman of the Republican Executive Committee. And the topic I chose is when does life begin? Some years back, while walking on the beach in Vero, my son discovered a dead baby sea turtle and picked it up to examine its intricate features lovingly crafted by our Creator. We considered taking it home and preserving it, but were warned by a lifeguard close by that we should put it down immediately and walk away. I began to wonder why baby sea turtles in their nests are protected by law with stiff penalties of up to 60 days in prison or $100,000 in fines, but it's open season on unborn babies, even in the free state of Florida. If a turtle is a turtle and protected by law under threat of huge fines or imprisonment, even while it's still in the shell, shouldn't we be protecting Cuban babies in the womb at every stage of development? The Florida Agency for Healthcare Administration abortion stats from January to September 1st, 2025 showed 29,455 reported abortions in Florida. Are we to believe that all 29,000 plus abortions were performed on babies at less than 6 weeks gestation? What is the enforcement mechanism? Who is overseeing the abortion facilities' data? Are women being lied to about the stage of their baby's development? Dade County leads the way with 6,343 abortion deaths. Broward County comes in second. Palm Beach County comes in third. Orange County's fourth, with 1,711 deaths by abortion. Chemical abortions, which are often administered without the knowledge or consent of the mother, by some estimates currently account for over 60% of abortions. Chemical abortion pills kill babies by starving them to death in the womb, cause women to hemorrhage to death alone in their bathrooms, cause sepsis, which can kill its victims in hours, can leave women permanently infertile, poison our nation's water supply. I hear a lot of talk about clean water. This should be a factor. How can any women's organization or healthcare organization call this carnage healthcare or reproductive rights when at least 38 women have died after taking these pills? A brand new peer-reviewed study by the Ethics and Public Policy Center shows that roughly 1 in 9 women who take chemical abortion pills experience serious complications like severe bleeding, infection, or some other life-threatening adverse effect. That's from Students for Life Action. I provided in your packets 2 stories of women who were drugged with abortion pills without their knowledge. Students for Life are leading the way to protect life from conception. The power of life and death is in your hands. Please support and pass proposed legislative initiatives outlined in the studentsforlife.org roadmap for state legislative priorities to include Clean Water for All Act, Pill Trafficking Prevention Act, Chemical Abortion Prevention Act, Life at Conception bills. And 12 states have banned abortion. Let's be the 13th. Respectfully, Lamar Notar Giacomo. I will give to you a copy of this packet.
Thank you. Peter Pfeiffer.
Thank you to both of you for having this meeting. We appreciate your good work on budgets and the control of budgets. I see that Florida is ranked in the top 6 best states for percentage of income that goes to taxes. So thank you for the work that you've done to take advantage of the opportunities that new growth has presented, but thank you as well for limiting the growth of budgets arbitrarily because money may be available. It's important to codify the limits on budget growth, and the state has exercised a lot of controls in that area. Thank you. It is important to maintain proper structure and process through discipline, and property tax has been important to funding local services, but limiting careless use of tax resources is key to holding the public trust. As property values grow and population increases, it becomes necessary to apply appropriate and necessary actions, holding ambitious and aggressive budget adopters at bay. Considering responsible restraints such as property tax modifications is an appropriate form of restraint while helping an older population remain in their homes, not having to continue to rent their homes as they continue in the years. Funding local budgets with population growth and valuation increases, we are still seeing rate increases. It is critical to keep balance within the budgets, funding those necessary budgets that are important to the county and the communities, but at the same time limiting the aggressive creators of new budgets because money may be there to tap. So I speak in support of property tax structure, giving a break to homeowners who reside in the state of Florida. And this would be a portion of property tax assessed and available. Thank you for the work. I know you have multiple initiatives regarding property tax, and I would, given my number of years, certainly be in support of those tax reductions or eliminations in older senior citizen environments. Thank you.
Thank you. Judy Trandle.
Good morning. I'm here to talk about the damage political committee to political committee transfers does to citizens, your constituents. In Florida, millions of dollars are deposited into these PCs from large corporations and organizations and then pass around and become what's known as dark money, a money laundering. These funds get moved around so much that even you, as representative and senator, may not even know who or what movement has funded your campaign or mail flyers. These organized PCs select the candidates that tend to go along with or align with the House and Senate leadership in the agenda that the dark money is lobbying for, Don't be fooled. These PACs pay for favors, but it doesn't matter to them who you are or which party they influence. Grassroots candidates that want to bring government back to the people don't stand a chance against the money corruption. We, the people, are searching for candidates that are willing to make bold moves to sponsor and amend bills that bring the power back to the people. Tallahassee has gotten too authoritarian over who can, or should I say, who are allowed to win elections. I'm asking you to coalesce with fellow legislators that want to bring integrity and transparency back to elections by campaign finance reform. This must be done for fair and honest elections. This should be the top priority for the Election and Ethics Committee. Please do the right thing. Don't be afraid of the basement. It's a sign of integrity. Thank you.
Thank you. Wayne Twitty.
Thank you. My name is Wayne Twitty, and today I rise to speak on behalf of grassroots Florida voters, citizens who are deeply alarmed by a growing threat to election integrity, the unchecked, opaque flow of money between political committees. During the August 2024 primary and the April 2025 special election, voters in Brevard County were overwhelmed with political mailers, text, websites, and digital ads. Many were deceptively styled as official voter guides, misusing trusted names and logos like President Trump, Governor DeSantis, and the Republican Party of Florida. These were not legitimate endorsements. They were carefully crafted manipulations designed to sway voters under false pretenses. Worse still, voters had no idea who funded them. That's because Florida law currently permits unlimited transfers between political committees, allowing money to be shuffled through layers of organizations until its true source is hidden. This practice, legal under current statutes, functions like money laundering in broad daylight, right in the heart of our elections. Here's how the loophole works. Florida's campaign finance laws only require disclosure when a message includes specific express advocacy language, phrases like vote for or vote against. But consultants have mastered how to avoid these trigger words while still steering election outcomes through suggestion, styling, and tone. So while the public is flooded with influence, they are starved for information. If voters can't identify who's funding the message, how can they make informed decisions? And if elections are shaped by anonymous special interest, how can our laws possibly reflect the will of the people? This isn't just about broken campaign system. It's about lost accountability, manipulated representation, and the steady erosion of trust in self-governance. We must act. Voters deserve to know who is speaking to them. They deserve to know which interests are attempting to shape their vote. Close the loophole, end the shell game. Let Florida voters see the truth clearly, honestly, and before they cast their ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Connerly.
Good morning. Thank you, Representative Brackett and Senator Grall, for fitting me in this morning. I'm what they call a regional captain for Convention of States here in House Districts 31 through 35. And we're in a historical time right now. Our country needs us. And I don't only mean us as Convention of States, but us as individuals, because our founding fathers intended us to be under the American creed, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And you'll have to agree that's been kind of swayed with different things happening in our country now, tragic things, changes that are unbearable. But Convention of States has stood for a bunch of patriots that fight daily, actually. And our mission is to build an engaged army of self-governing grassroots activists, which we've been doing since 2014, when Florida was first became a past state for the Convention of States. So why am I here today? We have a new, since Florida's passed, we have a new 34 Ready proposal that has been put on the bill line, shall we say. And thanks to Erin Grall and to Monique Miller up in Brevard County, we have started that. So we have that in process, we hope. And just yesterday, our national legislative liaison has updated some of the wording for that. All this takes time. So 34 Ready is what we call that. Then we have 19 states that have been ready. Now we have to get them ready for the convention. It's based on the 3 pillars of Convention of States: stop federal overreach, term limits, and fiscal responsibility. And those are the 3 things that will come only on board when we do have a Convention of States, and we follow the guidelines as proposed by the 34 Ready bill that we're trying to advocate and get done now. So we look for everyone to be involved in the community. Not only that's what we do here in the local communities, and we've been so well received in Indian River County. We're blessed to have such great people as you have on the DS here, but also around the state. We have some great, in our packet I distributed earlier, you can see we have some unbelievable supporters for Convention of States. Recently, great supporters, including our own president and our own Governor DeSantis. So after 10 years of working on this, we're getting more and more recognized. So this is our year, as I think, and next year, what's going on in our country, we all have to step up as people, not only as Convention of States, but the many groups that I see that some have come to highlights like Turning Point out of tragedy, but we have so many great people here in Florida and in our county advocating for different things like Moms for Liberty and Students for Life, as mentioned. And thank you. And thank you, Senator Grall, for all your work in helping us get 34 ready. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to back up on the agenda here for a second, go back to farm workers in Florida. Renee Gomez.
Good morning. I'm Bricia, a volunteer for the Farm Workers Association of Florida. We are a statewide organization with 5 offices, and one of them being in Pearson, Florida. Since 1987, we have been in Pearson providing resources and advocacy, not only for the farm working community, but anyone living in a low-income and rural area. I'm proud to be a resident of Ellesmere. I want to take this opportunity to speak on behalf of many members of our community who truly care about the growth and well-being of our city. Ellesmere is a small but strong and diverse community with a lot of potential. However, we continue to face ongoing challenges that impact the quality of life for many residents. One of the most pressing issues is the condition of our roads. Many of them need repair or repaving, and without adequate maintenance, it not only affects transportation, but also the safety of our residents. Another important issue is lighting. Many areas in Ellesmere still lack sufficient streetlights, making it unsafe for families, pedestrians, and drivers, especially during evening hours. Installing additional light poles would greatly improve safety and help create a more welcoming environment for everyone. We also need to address the maintenance of our draining ditches. This concern has been brought up repeatedly during the city council meetings. When these ditches aren't properly maintained, it leads to flooding, standing water, and even mosquito problems that can affect both health and property. I understand that limited funding makes it difficult to address all these concerns at once, but all these are real needs that directly affect our residents every day. At this time, I want to acknowledge and thank the city and council for the projects that are being done, and especially the ongoing discussions about expanding County Road 512. This is a major step towards improving accessibility and supporting future growth. We appreciate the work and attention that's being given to the effort. However, as Felsmer continues to grow, we hope to see more resources and support directed our way, not just for larger projects, but also for the smaller everyday needs that make our city safer, cleaner, and more connected. Our community deserves to be seen, supported, and included in the process happening across Indian River County. I believe that by continuing to collaborate and listening to residents' voices, we can make meaningful improvements that reflect the pride that we all share in this beautiful place we call home. Thank you for your time and for continuing to invest in the future of Felsmer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point in time, we're going to go to our speaker cards that people turned in this morning. We've got quite a few up here, so we're going to ask you to please limit your time to a minute to 90 seconds. Give us your comments. Gregory Jackson. That was pretty quick. Margaret Murray.
Good morning, and thank you for your service. My name is Margaret Murray, a vice chairman of Education Champions, a grassroots group of Indian River residents who came together 2 years ago in response to the growing attack on public education. We began with 7 founding members. Today, we have 150 active members and growing. We support parental rights, something that has always been part of the Florida educational system. But we're deeply concerned about the explosive and non-accountable growth of vouchers hidden under the name of scholarships. Vouchers are projected to reach $5 billion in 2025-2026 in Florida. Yet, 70% of vouchers represent people who have never attended public schools. They were already enrolled in private schools. As taxpayers, we demand improved transparency and accountability for how these tax dollars are being spent. Right now, there's an extremely limited or no oversight. Not only does this create massive opportunities for abuse and fraud, but good stewardship of public money is absent. And likewise, as Dr. Moore talked about, School of Hope programs created under FS 1002333 was meant to help communities with persistent low-performing public schools. But the new state board rule has twisted that intent. It now allows state-managed school takeovers, letting outside operatives occupy district schools labeled underused, even when those schools are successful.
Can you wrap it up?
I'm sorry?
That's okay.
Okay, so we ask that you repeal the rules for Schools of Hope, and for transparency and accountability, we'd like restoration of that. You know, as business people, we all know no business in the world would allow $5 billion to flow out without ethics, audit safeguards, and outcomes. So we would like you to close those loopholes. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole Grabner.
I'm so sorry. I was expecting to go earlier. I apologize, and I'm going to try to be as brief as I can to respect the time of others.
My name is Nicole Grabner, and I'm a disability advocate in South Brevard, so I straddle kind of with Representative Brackett, both counties for Brevard and Indian River. And I know you all, and want to thank you both for the opportunity to speak, as well as your staff for always being so helpful for our families. I come before you today as a mother, primarily. I had a longer speech, but I just wanted to explain that I have 2 children on the spectrum. And so for this legislative session, I'm asking for your support of a bill that I drafted called Sienna's Chance Act, and essentially it seeks to unify, update the legal definition of autism across various Florida statutes. There's at least 3 or 4 that I could find, and they all have different definitions. Some of them outdated over 30 years. So the bill has been put into House bill drafting, and we are looking for sponsors. And I appreciate your time and can answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie Rosario.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I really wasn't expecting to speak today. I'm a school board member in the school district, and I appreciate all of your support, continued access to the both of you for the efforts of our school district. But I'm not here to talk on behalf of the school district. I'm here to talk as an individual citizen. I am also a homeschool mom, and on behalf of the homeschool community here, something that has been brought to my attention is a state rule, a state statute regarding dual enrollment. The requirement for dual enrollment ensures that students have to take the PERT test in order to get into dual enrolled program at their local college. The PERT test is not the only way that a student can access programming at their local college. They can also take the SAT or the CLT. There's a lot of other alternatives. One particular thing that has recently been enacted was an alternative regarding coursework. So if a public high school student can show on their transcript that they have taken, for example, Algebra 1 and received a B or a higher and some other requirements on their transcript, that could be used as an alternative to the PERT or an alternative to the SAT or the CLT or some of these exams, which is great, and I appreciate that. If a student can prove on their transcript that they have taken an English 4 and have passed it with the appropriate grades, they can also use that as an alternative. The problem here is that the statute only allows for a public high school transcript to be provided this information. If your student is going to St. Ed's, for example, that's not acceptable. A St. Ed's graduate cannot show their school transcript because the law does not state that private schools or homeschools, for that matter, can use their coursework. I just think that it is quite unfair. Algebra 1, calculus, no matter where you take it, it's still the same content. It's just a matter of the location in which they're taking it. So I would appreciate it. Super easy fix is just to change the law to just say that all high school graduates, it's the same transcript that's used for college entrance, should be the same, that it could be used for dual enrollment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. James Byrne.
Hi, good morning. James Byrne with the Nature Conservancy. We're a worldwide leader in conservation and working in Florida for over 50 years. And I want to tell you about an appropriations request we're putting together on an exciting project here in Indian River County. We heard many speakers today talk about water quality and stormwater and the issues that presents. This project that we're looking at deploying here is looking to take stormwater ponds from a passive system to an active management that brings in data that's collected in real time, as well as hyper-localized weather forecasting. And what this will do is allow those stormwater ponds to maximize their ability to retain nutrients out, but also be able to manage them for rain forecast and be able to store more water and help reduce flooding risk as well. So we're putting this project together with Indian River County as well as with the St. John's Water Management District. And we're doing this in retrofitting existing stormwater ponds as a way to look at how we can move that forward. Our government relations manager, Kareem Golden, will be reaching out to you in the near future with more information about the project as well as on the appropriations request.
Thank you. Kathleen Crampton.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kathleen Crampton, and I'm chair of the Floridians for National Popular Vote. There are two bills currently, one in the House, House Bill 57, filed by Representative Gottlieb, and Senate Bill 232, filed by Guillermo Smith. This is about national popular vote. In front of you, you have the selected results of a survey that was done by FAU. I'm sorry they're not here, so I could thank them. FAU polling research done on 988 registered voters in Florida. You can see in the left, the first quadrant on the left side, in the survey, the first question that, well, among others, it's about a 32-page survey. If you'd like the whole thing, I'd be happy to email it to you. It showed that 55% voted for President Trump, 41% voted for Harris, and with the rest, 4% miscellaneous. The point is, it's a pretty Republican response, okay? And what were the results? Do you believe that the Electoral College system accurately reflects the will of the people? 48% said no. 39% said yes. The second question, how do you think the president should be elected? 57% said by popular vote, 37% said electoral college, and last but not least, should the National Popular Vote Compact Bill receive a hearing in the Florida legislature? 55% said yes, and 32% said no. Please, gentlemen and lady and wonderful lady, give your support for a hearing on these two bills. Most appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you. Emily Coons.
I apologize. Good morning. I just want to thank all of you for your time. My name is Emily Coons. I'm currently a waiver support coordinator, and I wanted to talk on behalf of the iBudget waiver program. I can say that I see the difference that the iBudget waiver program makes in a daily life on an ongoing basis. The waiver program is not just funding, it's freedom for our individuals. It allows individuals to live a meaningful life in their homes and in their communities instead of institutions. As a waiver support coordinator, we are the backbone to the system. We walk alongside families through every challenge. We help them navigate the complex systems. For individuals who live in a group home and may not have family involved, we often are the only consistent advocate in their lives. We are the voice for their needs not being overlooked and for the rights to be protected. Without these supports, many of our vulnerable individuals would be homeless and helpless. Transitioning the iBudget waiver program to a managed care system would not be beneficial for our population. Under the managed care, 7% of each client's budget would be withheld for agency fees. This is money that should go directly to the people that we serve for supports and services. Every dollar counts when it comes to our population. Taking care of them and taking funds away from them only limits the opportunity for independence and the quality of life. The purpose of the iBudget waiver program is to challenge and change lives, to help individuals achieve meaningful outcomes, and invest in people at an early age. Investing in people at an early age only allows young individuals to build founding skills. Saves the state money in the long run by reducing crises and interventions, institutional placements, and lifelong dependencies. The support builds stronger, more independent individuals who can contribute to their communities and live in a dignified life. Waiver not only is a program, but it is a lifeline. Under managed care, the waiver system ensures that every dollar is spent towards our individuals. Managed care only adds layers of profit while restricting other things. While waiver program chooses independence and person-centered supports, keeping iBudget waiver is keeping the promise to support inclusion, dignity, and the opportunity for every individual, because these programs are not just programs, they are lifelines. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I apologize for the 3-year-old.
Do not apologize. She's been fantastic.
She
And-
really has
and-
Been a trooper.
until she found the glow stick that she
Well,
packed in the bag.
And you did a great job,
Thank
Mom,
you.
with her right next to you. So
Thank
I've been
you.
there, done that. It's pretty incredible.
Thank you. I asked you to pack a bag and I don't have a glow stick made. Yeah, we're going back over here.
Cindy Diamond.
I'm still smiling from that. That was great. I'm Cindy Diamond, and I'm leading a campaign for community service called TNVR to be legalized in Indian River County. TNVR is the most effective solution to control the community cat population. Without this program, the number of community cats will continue to breed to capacity. Something needs to be done with this problem because it won't just go away. 2/3 of the counties in Florida have this program as legal. Let me explain what this is. Trap is, so it's TNVR, trap the cat humanely and bring them to an animal shelter or a veterinarian clinic. Neuter, to prevent future breeding. Vaccinate for rabies, which will increase the immunity in the community. Return to their outdoor home to live their lives free of the stresses of breeding and reproduction. This will save the county money. Instead of animal control, trapping cats, holding for the 3-day stray hold, then euthanizing feral cats, TNVR could be done by local shelters. Community complaints will be reduced, reducing animal control time. It will also decrease the number of stray intakes. This program will not cost the county any money. With the implementation of TNVR, tourism will remain strong. Without such a program, overpopulation of cats is also viewed as a sign the town or government isn't taking care of its animals. This will damage the area's reputation. I would ask you for your support to make Indian River County a better place for our community and help us to legalize this law. Thank you.
Thank you. Melody Hearn.
Good morning. We come to you as Family Care Council, Area 15 of the Treasure Coast, including York County, Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, and Okeechobee. I come to you as a governor appointee, and I take that seriously. I also take it seriously that you all know that we serve families as a volunteer of the state but appointed. And in that job duty, we are on our phones, we are in messaging, and I have a son with Down syndrome that has had to go through all of these services, including a group home when my husband had a heart attack. That's why these services are there. That is why it saves families' lives, hopefully saves their marriages. And I just want to read to you, thank you, delegation, for hearing the families, the caregivers, the provider, voices for the most vulnerable, and the recognizing the implementation of the State Family Care Council in state statute under HB 1103 to report to the House Speaker, the Senate President, and the Governor, as we've worked hard for that. Thank you for the new Director Bob and the new website on APD's management, who are now reporting more transparently the wait lists. In your county right now, I believe there are 80 total in the different categories of pre-enrollment. That was just updated today. Martin has 154,
We have Okeechobee at $5.99 and St. Lucie at $2.95. And it shows 0 in crisis, but I'm working with families right now who are in crisis. So thank you for the 6,000 letters that went out almost this last week, asking for them to either update their information or that you have a slot now on the waiver. We need greater providers, appointments to the Family Care Council area, waiting 5+ years for official board members to carry on this important volunteer work to educate parents applying for services and resources immediately. Thank you so very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Trevor Loomis.
Good morning, everybody. I always wondered what it would be like to give an Oscars acceptance speech, so I'll try to be really fast. I had a whole thing, but I'm going to skip it and give you a little bit of an update on some of the things that are going well. You know, it's easy to get caught up in all the complaints and gripes and requests, and I don't want to ask you for anything. I want to tell you about how the nonprofit community here is working and collaborating together better than ever. The city governments and the county government are working collaboratively together with us. We have currently 4 public-private partnerships going on to bring new affordable housing developments to this county. 1 is under construction and 3 others are coming online very soon. There's a couple of others in the works. We are all working together in the midst of tremendous chaos at the federal level, loss of funding and things like that, to work together to do more with less. And so we're so thankful for the local governments and their collaboration. And we appreciate you all and your staffs for stepping in when you are able. All I would ask this year for this legislative session is one thing. When you are deliberating on a bill or how you will vote or how you will proceed, I want you to, I would request that you would simply think about it from the perspective of all those people that don't have the time or the ability to be at meetings like this. The single mom with 2 kids who's got a shift at McDonald's in the morning and a shift at Cracker Barrel at night, and she's got to pick up her kids from school in the meantime. How does this bill affect her? How does this affect those folks who have fallen on hard times and are currently homeless? Those folks who are struggling, who just want to make a better way for their family. That's all that we ask of you, is that you give a little bit of consideration to those folks without a voice and how these bills affect them. I know from personal conversations with both of you that you want desperately to do the right thing, and I believe that you do. And so I just hope that as we go forward, you have a lot of difficult work ahead, and I just ask that you would look at it from that perspective, as well as those special interests and those of us who are here to present today. So thank you. Thanks for the work that you do, and you guys as well. I'm really glad to have the chance to talk to you. Thanks.
Thank you. Kelly Rowe.
Thank you very much. This is my first time speaking. My name is Kelly Rowe. I own Rise Center. We are a day program for adults with intellectual developmental disabilities, and it has come to my attention over the past 4 days that there is a new monthly billable rate for ADTs. That was apparently decided in September of this year, and it is going to be retroactive to October 1st. ADTs have not been informed of this. I only found out because a support coordinator shared an advisory that came from APD. So I did some research. I have 4 pages. I'll email them to you later. But I'm just asking that we review this. These rates were based on a 6.6% survey response from ADTs. There are 386 ADTs in Florida. 58 of them responded. Not all were included. I was not included. This affects our budgeting. We have a 7-hour day. They were basing these rates on a 4-, 5-, or 6-hour day. So I will email this information to you later. If you could just look out for that, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. April Price.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here and talking to your constituents today and giving them a chance to present. I already gave you my points in writing, so I don't need to go through them. I just want you to know that the marine industries, you have a strong team here on the Treasure Coast. And you will be seeing several bills, I know, because I'm already seeing them come across your desks this year, and I know you're going to have a hectic session. Please know that we have people in Tallahassee, and you have people here at home. So when you are looking at these bills, don't hesitate to pick up the phone, call us, have your aide call us, and we can tell you what those direct impacts will be to your community based on that. So you'll be seeing everything from derelict vessels to anchoring. Law enforcement, we're very proactive, so in making sure that boating is safe and strong for our community, and it's embedded in our fabric. So thank you, and please call us if you have any questions on anything throughout the year. And have a good session.
Thank you. Sean from Caring Home Care.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. Talking about reimbursements in Medicaid personal care. Florida saves money by keeping Medicaid members at home. They save money because members are allowed to go into, if they're qualified to go in nursing homes, we have these diversion programs like the statewide Medicaid Managed Care Program and straight Medicaid. Personal care saves money because people get to stay at home. Unfortunately, aides are not entering the business and providers are closing and consolidating. The reason is reimbursements have just been far too low. Statewide and even here in the county, the average payment for a provider reimbursement is $19.87, from which they must pay state mandates. They have to have an office as director of nursing, the director of human resources, technology and the like. But the biggest payment that they have to dish out of the reimbursement is wages. Obviously, our minimum wage is now $14. It's $15 in a year, but the reality is Amazon and Target are paying $17 and $18. The people who bathe and toilet our family members at home need more than just minimum wage. They expect $3 to $4 over minimum wage, which would be what we're reimbursed currently. So the request is to just, and you'll see some legislation on it, the request is to reimburse providers exactly what we pay family members to stay at home with and do the exact same bathing and toileting to the family members, which is $25. It's a little increase, but it's an investment in our future and keeping people at home and where they want to be. I thank you very much for all of your efforts.
Thank you very much. All right, going back to one that was not here earlier, Gregory Jackson or Raymond Knuckles is here now. Thank you, sir.
Good morning again. Remy Knuckles on behalf of New Horizons of the Treasure Coast. Greg had to leave because we have a board meeting at noon, and I happen to be a board member. We do have a legislative request into, I believe Harold is sponsor. I can't remember who the sponsor is right now, but if you've ever been to the campus at New Horizons, it's a beautiful campus. It needs some repair. We've asked for $720,000 in capital expenses, and we'd request your assistance in making that approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that completes our speaking cards. At this time, it's time to talk about next year. And I will nominate Senator Grall to be the chair for next year.
If I don't second.
Without objection, we'll approve that. We also need to a vice chair.
I would like to make a motion that Representative Brackett serve as the vice chair of the delegation in the upcoming.
It's easy with a two-person delegation to do this every year. I second that. Without objection, we'll take that. Before we adjourn here, I want to thank everybody for coming. But first I want to say that this is something we do every year. We enjoy doing it. We do it all around the whole state of Florida. We both sit on different delegation meetings. I sit on one also in Brevard County, and poor Erin sits on one in like 4 other counties. So I mean, she's very busy with it. But this doesn't just happen. So I want to thank our staff, Tyler here, Sonny, Susan's around here somewhere, Sharon. They put this together. Okay, they organize it, get us all ready for it. And so every year it's a process, and so thank them publicly for what they do. And with that, if we do no further business, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Second, we are done.